Hiya, Chill Zone, Analyst here. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for your second session and sending it over to myself. If you have any questions, you know I am. You're more than welcome to drop me a DM. Always happy to help. I've decided to pick the game that you win 3-2 out of the few hours that you sent over. Just because obviously it's a close game. You managed to scrape the win. So I just thought it'd be a good game for us to look at directly and kind of see how you're getting on. Obviously, I know you said you've been working on a few things and improving a little bit, which is good. So we're going to go through, analyse this game. Any questions, you know I am, just send them over. I have decided to change up a little bit in terms of the videos and just try and make them a little bit more straight to the point. So they won't always be as long as they normally are, but you still get the same amount of value from them. So let's jump into it. So one of the things that I want to touch on here for us, first of all, is to just, we recapped this on the first video, is just to keep an eye on what you're doing with the centre-back that you're controlling. The reason for this is that you player switch to Virgil van Dijk in a second, and you're going to bring Virgil van Dijk upwards, which then means that you're leaving a little gap in behind here. What you're better off doing in this sort of situation is picking your centre mid and moving your centre mid over into that sort of area, because if you watch how it pans out, it then means that he has a space in behind with Vardy. So the first thing that I want us to touch on is basically what you're doing with your centre-back here with Van Dijk. What I want us to be very cautious of is moving Van Dijk out of the backline position and leaving a gap in between your right back and then your left centre-back. What you're better off doing here is actually changing to your CDM and moving your CDM up into that area. Yes, he can still play that pass with Eriksen, which is what he's going to do. But what it means is that if he then looks for the 1-2, instead of Van Dijk being here, which is where he's going to end up, Van Dijk would still be there. It makes that 1-2 threat a lot less. Can you see how you pulled him up and then look at this gap we've left behind? Ideally, you always want to try and keep your centre-backs in the team shape in the back line. Let's look at it again for you. So as soon as that pass comes in, switch to your CDM. You could have just pressed L1 because the icon was over him, but it's now switched over to there. We want to switch over to your centre defensive mid and move him out and not Van Dijk ideally, because obviously that's quite a risky move that you've tried there. Okay, so we're going to work the ball forwards here. You do a little bit of one-touch passing, first-time passing, which is nice. You work it very nicely. Good opportunity. Unfortunately, pass doesn't come through with De Bruyne. Now, we're going to win the ball back in just a second with Cannavaro. You step up with him and win the ball back, which is great. What I want us to do here, though, is just make sure that when you are winning the ball, we're not giving the opponent the chance to jump straight back on you. You try and play a pass up into here. That's going into danger a little bit. The pass can always be a little bit hit and miss. You could just play a little triangle or Y on Xbox, pass down into here just to make that very simple and very easy for you. I just feel like you've done really well to win the ball back and then you've just given it him straight back. So one thing to be very cautious of, you get a little bit unlucky with Van Dijk there. He probably should win the ball back. You do get a good tackle in, hits the post, and then obviously comes up with Marcelo, which was good stuff. So we're going to go 1-0 down here. There's not really too much that we could have done in this sort of situation. Maybe we could have tried to head it straight away instead. He plays the pass in the middle, finds Rashford, goal. You do get a little bit aggressive with your centre-back. I think this is because you panic a little bit because you realise it's quite a good opportunity for him. You need to be cautious of obviously the run down the line, but then also the pass into the middle. So ideally, what you're better off doing is kind of stopping where you are here with Ferdinand, holding LT, L2, and just jockeying in and around this area. And then that way, if St. Maximin opens up his body to run that way, you can match him. But if he opens up his body to come up this way, you can stand there and react. But because you kind of pull down, you make the decision for him. You say, okay, that space now is no longer on, but this pass is on. So you make him make that decision, really. Obviously, the skill move helps. Good little finish from Rashford on his weak foot. Unfortunate to go 1-0 down there, though. One thing that I'm noticing here, we've done it a couple of times now in this game, is that when you change player, sometimes you change player and basically your analog stick is going in the wrong direction. Watch what happens here with Ballack. You switch player, right? The logical thing here should be for you to run back. You don't, and you end up running back towards his goal. Obviously, we want to go back towards there. What that makes me think is that when you're changing player, you're thinking it's going to switch to a man up here and you want to bring him down. But instead it hasn't. It's switched to Ballack, which is why it's gone that way. I need you to be very careful of who you're controlling when you switch and what you're doing on the analog stick. Because this, obviously, has just pulled Ballack even more out of position than what he is. What I can only imagine is that you think, I think you've switched with L1 or LB, and that it's going to switch to a man, you know, that we can't see off the screen. And then you obviously want to come down. So just be very cautious about who you're switching to and how your analog is actually facing when you do make that switch, because things like that will cost you over the time. You do stand up tall and try and win the ball back. Yet a little bit unfortunate that he doesn't kind of come back in that way. Obviously, De Gea bails you out a little bit there. So just be cautious of that, because that kind of seems to be a common occurrence for you at the minute. I've touched on this before for you. One of the things that we need to make sure that we're not doing, you work the ball around really nicely, is that playing a pass to here when you're facing that way is never going to work. If you want to get this ball into Neymar, a drag back is better. So drag back that way, then lay the ball off. You can't really play a pass like that. It's very rare that that's going to happen on this FIFA. So just be cautious of things like that. Only play the pass the way that you're facing. If you want to play a pass the other way, you need to do a skill move, drag back, for example, to create that space and get into that room. One of the things that I wanted to take out the game completely, chill zone, is these sort of passes here, these sort of shots, sorry, here. You've took a shot with Ballack, A, on his weak foot, and B, when you've got passes into the box. This is such a key area. You're taking a shot there that is not ever really going to go in. You could play a simple pass into Del Piero or De Bruyne and do a first-time fake shot either way in here, and you might have a clear shot at goal. That, it isn't going to go in. It isn't going to go in. So I just want you to make sure that in these sort of areas, if you've got that pass on inside the box, like this is killer. The CDMs aren't there. If his CDM was here, covering that pass, then I'd have a little bit more sympathy for you. But there's no need to shoot there. So just be very careful with what we're doing on the edge of the box. So we're going to work a chance up here. We try a little bit of a back heel with De Bruyne. It doesn't really come off, but you still come out with the ball. Now, this area here, I understand that you're wanting to shoot near post. However, if you really want to be a little bit more composed, sometimes you can shoot. I've got no issues with this. I'm just giving you another alternative option for you, okay? So some situations here, when you get into this sort of situation, the guy wants you to hit it near post. That's what he thinks you're going to happen. You can do a drag back that way. You might be able to lay the pass off into Salah. You might be able to hit it that way with Del Piero. It will just give you multiple avenues if you can have a little bit more composure there. It's not a bad shot, but in some situations, just make sure that you know there's a drag back option there for you as well, all right? So half time, I'm happy with the pass accuracy. I'm happy with the possession. As it stands at the minute for me in this game, okay, we've had a couple of shots from outside the box that we probably didn't need to. This game's in your control. Although you're 1-0 down, I think that you have the chance of coming back into this game and obviously getting the win, which we do. But I just want to make sure that at half time, just always say to yourself, I've got the ability to win this game. I'm creating chances. It will fall for me, and don't panic. You actually do really well at times in getting into like good areas. I just feel like we're lacking that little bit of composure. You get very lucky here that the ball bounces back for you. Your instant reaction is to shoot, which I understand. Obviously, the pass on to Del Piero was around here. You know, that there is not to Del Piero, to De Bruyne is a possibility. You know, you could lay that off. However, I'm more thinking about you want to beat this man to get a clear shot at goal. In FIFA, obviously, blocking is something very common, very happens on a regular basis, let's say. You need to try and like ball roll upwards or something here and just have the ability to beat this man and get past him. So I'd ball roll upwards, go for that near post. If you do want to hit this, I actually think going for the finesse far post might be better, because then you have more chance of beating this man. But I do think try and beat him at the level that you're playing at. You probably would beat a player there, and you'd have the composure. And then Del Piero's got a nice simple shot in at the near post to make that 1-1. One of the things that I need you to be very careful of is giving the ball away in these sort of areas. If, say, you've tried to play that pass into here and the ball, they intercepted it, I have a bit more sympathy for you. But what you do is you come back up, you don't pass the ball into Pogba or into anyone, you just keep dawdling with it, and then the guy wins the ball back from you. And as simple as that, boom, he's in behind. Now, what did we do to actually cause that Ferdinand to lose his thingy so much? I think what you've done is when you've dragged back, you've tapped L1 in that direction, because can you see how Ferdinand darts forward? Which means that Ferdinand starts making a run towards you. Whether it's R1 or R1, I'll tell you what, whether it's L1 or R1, I think it might be R1 that you've done. I think what's happened is when you've dragged backed, yeah, when you've drag back, you must have been tapping it instead of just holding it. And when you tap it, it will do the drag back. But what it's also done is, because you've gone up this way, it's told Ferdinand to come and offer a short option for you. Can you just see how he's busting it up to get there? Which then means now you've got a 3 at the back with Marcelo and your right back miles out of position. And then obviously he comes in. What I'd say here is bring the keeper out. you've got to try and do something. If the guy's got the composure to ball roll the keeper and beat him, brilliant. But I'd say about now, start charging the keeper out, all right? You've got to force him into doing something. That was too easy for him. But just be careful that when you are doing those drag backs, you're not tapping R1 or RB, you're holding it. I'd like to see us, when we get into these like good areas, to try and take men on every now and then. You get into this situation with De Bruyne where you take a shot. If you're going to hit this, it's got to be a finesse. You've got to get it out onto like De Bruyne's right foot on the body angle and then finesse that. You don't. You just kind of hit it. For me, I'd try and take this man on. Come forward, do a heel to heel where you do right on the analog stick and then back left. And that'll do the heel to heel for you. Or again, a simple ball roll downwards or upwards, or look for the pass into Del Piero. I need you to just try and stop making these long shots and try and make that extra pass, that extra skill move, whatever you can do, trying to get the chances. I mean, you didn't finesse that, you powered that. If you finessed it, I have a little bit more sympathy, but get back in the game very luckily with obviously a corner. Not much to say about them, just obviously this year they're very inconsistent, but good stuff. 2-1. I know we've just got back into this game and it's currently 2-1, but you can't be doing things like this. You can't let this pass off into there. Ball roll upwards, buy yourself a bit of time and then look to go out to the left wing. That's too risky. You know, you can undo your hard work of getting back in this game at 2-1 by giving the ball away in those cheap areas. So just be very cautious with things like that. If you're ever not sure, go back to the keeper, go back to the centre-back, but you can't lay those risky passes off. So you win the ball back with a good tackle from Cannavaro. You then lay the ball off into Del Piero. I think you're very lucky with that finish. I mean, it was obviously a low driven, something that I don't do too often in this game actually, but I should add that into my game. Other options that you have, like a fake shot stop where you just stop and then lay it off to De Bruyne. You could ball roll downwards. You'd have to time it quite early though, but good finish anyway, 2-2. You've done really well to get back into this. Let's see how you win the game. You create a brilliant chance here. You win the ball back from this guy dawdling around. You come in with De Bruyne. Again, fake shot stop, drag back this way. You're getting too tunnel visioned on this goal, man. Before you shoot, you need to have a look and see what options are on. Like, you should be seeing this space here and getting that ball to Del Piero as much as you can. You take the shot with KDB. It's a low driven as well. I mean, if you just watch here, you win the ball back, great. You lay the ball off, brilliant. If you want to hit this, you kind of hit that now on De Bruyne's outside of the boot, but because you take that touch, it takes you upwards. Now you've got to do a drag back, lay the ball off, look for the finesse, but you just, it's a very risky shot. That very unlikely that goes in, I think. So you win the ball back here from the guy playing a terrible pass to you. You do a little double tap A pass, I think this is, up in the air, quite nice. Finesse with Del Piero, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant finish, nice and composed there, no issue whatsoever, and that's how you're going to win the game. So you did really well to get back into that game. Really enjoyed watching that, to be honest. I do think one of the things that you've got to work on is just you are so trigger happy in and around the area. You just stop. You miss out on these key passes that you could lay into the box. You could look for the swept back or whatever it is. We just need to think about it a little bit more. I do think the shot selection at times is a little bit wrong in terms of going low drivens, near post, far post, whatever it is. You just need to have a little bit of think about that. Obviously, king is near post, finesse far post, and then the low driven is last. And just be cautious with what we're doing in defence. Obviously, we touched on the defence a lot in the last episode, so I don't want to go that over too much for you. Overall, make sure you're playing the passes in the way that you're facing, and that will help you out massively. I do really like, though, that you had 88% pass accuracy. That's better, and the possession was high as well. So I hope that's covered a few things for you. As I said, if you've got any questions or anything, please do let me know. But really, let's start thinking about these shots. Don't get tunnel visioned on the goal. Always look for that extra man, that extra pass, and you'll get more goals like that. Thank you very much again. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.